Good evening. Call to order the City of Cedar Falls Planning and Zoning Commission for February 22nd, 2017. Mr. Seymour, if you would do our roll call, please.
Thank you, Ms. Oberle. Arnson? Dunning?
Here.
Geruso?
Here.
Hartley?
Here.
Holst? Leeper? Oberle?
Here.
Saul?
Here.
Wingert?
Here.
Members Arnson, Leeper, and Holst are absent tonight.
Okay. We do have a quorum. With that, we'll present the meeting minutes from the January 25th meeting. Are there any comments or corrections? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
And a second? Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor of approval of the minutes signify with aye.
Aye.
Nay. Thank you. The minutes are approved. Next, we'll move on and open the floor for any public comments. Please approach the microphone if you'd state your name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Andrew Tilkes. I live at 4309 South Main Street. I just wanted to ask a question. First, I'll start with what I received in the mail in March 2015. The city of Cedar Falls was planning on constructing sanitary sewer behind my property that required acquisition of easements. I own approximately 3.2 acres on the corner of Main Street and Green Hill. I later received a letter saying that the city was studying the feasibility of the project. I was just wondering if that was going to proceed at any point in the future. The only reason I bring this up is that approximately 10.5 acres was sold and I anticipate is going to be developed behind me. So I was just wondering if there was a plan for the approximate dozen houses that are going to be on, they're currently on septic, including me. So
I can try to address that.
Sure.
As of today, we have not seen any plans for development submitted to us on that tract of property that is being referenced. So as soon as something does come in, I know you've talked with Shane a few times, we'll make sure and let you know when that plan does come in. In terms of the sanitary sewer, what I'll have to do is I'll have to visit with our engineering division and find out the latest on that, and I'll be glad to get back to you tomorrow.
Sure.
Get your name and number, and we'll follow up with you tomorrow.
Yep, that'd be great. My only fear is that the development will proceed without the dozen or so neighbors, me and my neighbors, not being on septic. And then I'm afraid that somewhere down the road, because of the high restrictions with watershed and the EPA and everything, I don't look for restrictions to get any looser. So I'm afraid that somewhere down the road, they'll be digging my backyard again.
And again, all those utilities will be evaluated once the plat comes in to the staff for review. And again, we'll certainly let you know and make you aware of everything that's going on.
Okay, that sounds great. I just want to make sure it was on the public record that, so everybody's aware.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments this evening? Moving on, we have sort of a special item on the agenda this evening, and I'll introduce Mayor Jim Brown. And City Administrator, Mr. Gaines, Ron Gaines.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am Jim Brown. Since this is official work, my office is right over here. I should say my official address. Appreciate you having us take a little break here to say a few words, and thanks to the commission members as well for the time. I wanted to point out publicly and say thanks to city staff. I've heard from many of you folks appreciate how things are presented to you, to be able to make good, sound decisions. And I know behind the scenes, they work very diligently to make sure this commission, this important commission, works well together as it relates to how the city functions. So my hat's off to the staff. Also wanted to state publicly, thanks to all of you for your service to the community in this fashion. I know it can be thankless at times, busy, a lot of efforts. But again, I've also heard it can be very rewarding. So thank you so much for what you do and for the service. I know it's greatly appreciated by myself, by staff, and by the public as a whole. What I'm going to do now is just allow Ron to say a couple words, and I'll come back and we'll get this great public servant behind us up here as well in a second.
Thank you, Mayor. Madam Chair, Commission members. I'd like to echo what the mayor said about the commission members. You guys a lot of times do the heavy lifting. I probably shouldn't say this on TV, but you make the council's job easier a lot of times because you do that hard work. So what I'm up here tonight to talk to you about is one of your past commission members and presenting her with the service award. We have two things that we'd like to do tonight is present her with a plaque for her years of service. But the other item is the tradition Mayor Brown and I are trying to start is to recognize individuals throughout the community that contribute. And what we have is they're little challenge coins. And on the front of them, they actually say, recognizing excellence, honoring service for outstanding achievement. So what we'd like to do is present Ms. Hayes with one of those as well. So I'll let the mayor.
If you come up, Ms. Hayes. Thank you for your service, 18 years, for that kind of work, for this kind of commission. I know, again, takes a lot of effort and probably some heat sometimes, but I think you might even told me it was rewarding. And you are part of the folks in this community. If I've learned anything the last year as mayor, is you make the city what it is. So thank you very much. And I'd like to present this nice plaque. I'm going to hopefully read it or at least showcase it. It says, the City of Cedar Falls presents to Jewel Hayes a Distinguished Service Award in appreciation of the meritorious contribution to the City of Cedar Falls while serving on the Planning and Zoning Commission. So I'll present this to you, and Ron will be right back with the challenge coin, but thank you again.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, and 18 years went fast.
And so here is the challenge coin that we talked about. And again, this is something that the mayor and I and the council are trying to do to reach out to people that really have made a difference within the community. And you certainly are one of those.
Well, so thank you very much.
Thank you for your service.
All right, thanks. Good to see all of you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jewel. Moving on, we have no items of old business, so we'll move on to new business, which we have two items. The first of which is University Avenue Frontage Road right-of-way vacation. This is the Regents Bank at 4417 University Avenue. And Mr. Sturch, if you would present this item, please.
Thank you, Ms. Silverly. Want to present this right-of-way vacation at Regents Bank, 4417 University Avenue. The property is at the southeast corner of University and Cedar Heights. Right now, well, past few months, the city has been working with the bank and other properties on phase 2 for the University Avenue reconstruction project. And the graph up here shows the current location. You're familiar with the signalized intersection. Just south of the university is the start of the frontage road that heads east to Midway Drive. And the hatched-in area represents the public right-of-way or the frontage road that will be vacated as part of that University Avenue project. This is just a quick schematic of what that finished product will look like. You see a roundabout there at the intersection of Cedar Heights and University Avenue. And then heading east on University Avenue, there's a right-in, right-out access to the frontage road along the south side. So as you head east on the frontage road, you'll just access those businesses all the way down to Midway Drive. And if you head back west, it's essentially a dead end because the roundabout will cut that traffic off the existing frontage road. So during those negotiations with the bank, we just saw it fit that, hey, that could be part of their driveway because we are kind of interrupting their circulation. They'll enter on Cedar Heights Drive. They can go through the drive-through and exit off the frontage road. And basically that will be reconstructed as somewhat their driveway when that project is over. The inset kind of shows that little closer up picture on that. So what we want to do is recommend approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission based on your comments. Last Monday, the agreement was going to be set on council agenda. It was pulled in the last minute. There's some details that both parties are working out. So we won't get this to council until that agreement's done. It'll be placed on the agenda for approval, and then we'll start the process for public hearings on the right-of-way. So the idea is to make sure the council approves the agreement, and then all easements will be retained in this frontage road area. It's just basically going to be their driveway. So they'll have the responsibility to maintain, remove the snow. There'll be some signage there for no through traffic. So the idea is to transfer that after council. So we'd want to move that forward when that happens.
Thank you. Is there any discussion or questions from the commission?
So we're okay to approve this and move it on to council and not putting the cart in front of the horse with the fact that the agreement hasn't been achieved yet?
We talked about that in staff, and we just want to get it through this step, and then we'll hold it. And so we're fine with that. They're close.
My understanding, there will be a time consideration once it gets past Planning and Zoning Commission. There's just a minor concern, a minor hang-up on getting some signatures. The attorney has told us that should happen this week, and we don't want to have to wait another 2 weeks to run it back to Planning and Zoning Commission.
Any other questions, comments, or a motion?
I move that we approve this.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, please go ahead and vote. And we have 5 ayes and 1 abstention, so that item is approved and will move on to City Council. Our second item of new business is the Central Business District Overlay Facade Review for 109 East 2nd Street. And Ms. Lehman, if you would introduce this item, please.
Thank you. So the owner of 109 East 2nd Street, John Jacobs, is proposing to change a portion of his facade. As the building is located in the Central Business District, all significant changes are required to be reviewed by Planning and Zoning and City Council, so that's why it's here in front of you today. I will give a quick summary of the project. Further details and specifications can be found in the staff report. The owner is also present in case you have any questions at the end. So the owner has been working with Main Street, Iowa to create a vision for what 109 East 2nd Street facade could look like in the future. The images on the slide show the current facade and what is proposed. The current project is just the red circled area. Due to the scale, the owner would like to do it in a step-by-step process. So at this point, just the circled area. This area shows a roof change, which is just more or less adding, I guess, the architectural terms, framed roof pitch with a corrugate white steel surface with trim gutters, and to cover that, a textured concrete block parapet. So for those who don't speak architect, basically what that means is he's going to be adding a sloped roof to the building, and then to kind of tie it in and keep that look consistent with the front facade, he's going to be adding a parapet, which is more or less just kind of a wall, extended wall, to keep that front looking similar to as it is now. So the proposed parapet would be made of concrete block, so mirroring the color and design of what is currently there. And it would keep the roof shape, pitch, and direction consistent, and the change is minimal to the overall building's proportion in terms of the actual facade. So the project itself, this section of it, meets all of the Central Business District overlay design criteria. And again, at this time, we are just reviewing that small section of the facade. So Community Main Street had reviewed this application and approved it at their Friday, February 17th meeting. And as it meets the requirements of the Central Business District Overlay Design Guidelines, staff is also recommending approval of this facade change. Staff is here to answer any questions, as well as John Jacobs, the owner, if the commission has any.
Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak to this item? Any questions from commission? Discussion?
I think it's an improvement to the property. How long until the rest of it would take place? Is there a time frame for that?
There's no current timetable as of now. The owner's indicated that he does want to potentially work with Community Main Street for grant monies to help with the facade. And I think there are certain heirs too that are interested that might take up these projects as well.
Just state your name and your address, please.
John Jacobs, 109 East 2nd Street. Nice to see myself on TV. Doesn't happen often. All of these suggestions that Tim Renders made have some merit to them. What I'm most concerned about right now is simply fixing the flat roof that has become concave over the years and is causing me some distress. I've spent many Sunday afternoon up there doing little things. There's no leaking through the roof. The problem is that by surface tension, the water clings to the edge of the roof, comes back in under the edge of the roof and into the interior of the building. And this has been a frustrating thing to deal with. And I do feel that once I can get this dealt with, the weight of the world will be off of my shoulders and I can move on to some other nice improvements. But this is the one that has to take place first. And I've received estimates that are within reason, but did not include the parapet. But I assume that the parapet won't more than double the cost of the thing, so it's still within reason, something I would like to accomplish this year yet, and then move on to some other improvements.
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs, for that information. Any other questions? Nope. Is there a motion?
I move to approve.
There's a motion to approve and a second.
I'd second that.
There's a motion and a second. Please vote. And we have 4 yeses and 1 abstention on that item. Okay, that item is approved, and we'll move on to council as well. Thank you, Mr. Jacobs. With that concludes our new business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
There's a motion. Is there a second? All those in favor of adjournment, please signify with aye.
Aye.
Nay? We are adjourned. Thank you.